We're live now.
We are live.
It's Saturday night.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture.
With Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
I got
It's Saturday night.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture.
With Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Whoa!
Are we here?
Welcome. We are here and we are live.
You're live. You're kind of low. I can't hear you. Can you turn yourself up?
Oh wait, can I turn myself up? Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay, because you're kind of low now to me.
I'm kind of low.
Yeah, you're kind
How
of low.
low can I go? Death row. What a brother knows.
What a brother know. Anyway, you're sounding kind of low to me, but that's just me. Don't worry about it.
All right. Okay. If
We
I'm sounding
are
low to
good
anybody
to
else out there, if anybody's
go.
listening,
Let's lock
let
it
me know
in.
if I'm sounding low. If I'm sounding
Low,
low.
low.
Low. All right, so welcome to Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. Today, we're going to talk about the best superhero movies. I made a list of what I feel are the best superhero movies. Kathy's going to co-sign for me on these superhero movies, this list that I made. We're going to start from the bottom. I'm going to work my way up. You're co-signing on this list.
I'm co-signing on the list.
Yes. Yeah, you're
Okay,
co-signing on my list.
you tell me this, and I'm like, okay, so I'm co-signing to the list. So there's already a prediction out there from SC. Hey, SC, how are you doing tonight? Batman will be number one. You have not met my brother, although yes, you are all things Batman, aren't you?
I am all things Batman. As you see, I have my Batman right here behind me. I am all things Batman. Batman is not number
Is that
one,
a
but
Batman
Batman.
action figure?
A Batman movie makes the list, but not the ones everybody thinks would make the list. So, yes, it's the George Clooney Batman. I'm just joking. It's not the George Clooney Batman. It's not. It's not. It's not.
The George Clooney Batman.
Yeah, no. But let's talk about let's hit some pop culture news first.
Okay.
This week we have lost the baddest shut your mouth ever, and that is Richard Roundtree, the original Shaft star, has died this week at 81.
He's a bad mother.
Shut your mouth.
We're talking about Shaft.
Talk about a
Oh,
shaft, yes.
definitely.
So, all right, we're all sick of hearing about Will and Jada.
Lord, please don't Will and Jada me. I'm so sick
I'm not
of Will
going
and
to,
Jada.
but you know who else I'm sick of hearing about?
Who?
Taylor Swift and his football player. I'm sick of
Travis
hearing about
Kelsey.
Jason Swift. I'm sick of hearing about him. I'm done.
I, I see. I'm not a Swiftie, but I don't. I like Tay Tay. I'm not gonna lie. I know you just don't like her, and that's your
No,
your whole issue, and I get it.
Yeah, Tay Tay's a bully. Tay Tay's a bully.
She's a bully. How's she gonna
Yes.
bully anybody?
Because yes, she is. Because as soon as you don't agree with Tay Tay, as soon as you don't agree with Taylor Swift, she gets all her Swifties to go out against you
Well,
and
no,
talk about you. And now all of a sudden she's a victim. Oh my God, I'm a little lamb and I'm a
but
victim. No.
but no. You know what? The Swifties are just as bad as the believers, beavers, or whatever they're called, the little
Or the beehive.
monsters, the
Or the
beehive.
beehive.
I mean, you say something bad about Beyonce, oh, they will be all up in your stuffs.
Oh, I got into I was doing an open mic, and I had got into a tiff with a bunch of people because I planted my feet in the dirt to die on the hill that Janet Jackson is way better than Beyonce.
Oh, oh, mm, they might come at you with that.
They did come at me with that. They did come at me with that. They tried it. They tried it. But you know what? I had the
I mean, as
microphone because
far
I
as
was
a
the host
singer, I
on it.
think Beyonce's a better singer. I don't think Janet has the range, but
But Janet has
I mean, she's
okay.
got the
Here's
years
what I'm saying.
experience over her.
If
Yes.
it wasn't for if it wasn't for Janet, there would be no Beyonce.
Okay. I can give you that. Without Janet, there would be no Beyonce. I can hear you on that. But as
So
far
and
as
that's all
just
I'm saying.
as far as
Janet was
being
the
a
one.
singer and having the vocal range, I just think Beyonce probably does have a better voice, and she's building her catalog. And and even as far as going out on tour, I mean, Janet can she can deliver, but I mean, Homegirl's what 58, 59.
What you thought? What's wrong with age?
I'm just saying. I mean, hey, I'm
What's wrong
old
with
too.
age? She's 50. Number one, Janet's only 57 because she's the
57.
same
Okay,
age
yeah,
as me.
she's younger than
I'll be
me.
57 in November. She's the same age as me.
Okay,
She might be a couple months older.
all right.
I hope you like guys a little bit younger than you, Janet, by a couple of months because I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay. So
Um,
back from the fantasy,
but
and
yeah, but in any event, you know, if I had to choose between seeing Janet and Beyonce in a concert for the song quality of
Wake
the
up from
music,
your
I would pick
fantasy.
Janet. I would pick Janet. I'll pick Janet or Beyonce any day.
I mean, I probably would
Showmanship.
too, only because I think I own more Janet Jackson CDs and albums than Beyonce albums. And oh, by the way, if they do come across any records or albums or CDs, even make sure they don't throw those out, because if they're not mine, I will claim them. I will take them,
I've been looking at the vinyl. I've been looking at the vinyl.
because some of the vinyl might be mine. So
Okay,
don't get
well,
attached. I don't
maybe
have a
coulda,
record
shoulda,
player,
woulda,
but
coulda, shoulda, woulda. Maybe it
oh,
could be
hells
here.
no.
It,
Oh, wait.
it could be here. It could not be.
Back that bus up, my boy.
It could be here. It could not be here. It could have got lost in the move. I don't. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh,
Could be rain. Could be snow. All depending on the weather. Who knows? Nobody
in any case, what else you got
knows.
for us in pop culture
So,
news?
and popcorn. So that's all pretty much all I have. I did have something and I didn't write it down and I forgot what it was. But as we talk about Janet, I
Old
did see
age.
something. You know how Janet came up with the Rhythm Nation
Mm-hmm.
and the military stuff for the Rhythm Nation?
Yeah.
She stole that from Michael because she saw Captain Nemo and she called Michael and said, "Can I want to steal the military stuff." And Michael's, you know what? I got all the money in the world. Go ahead, girl. Take what you want. You my little sister. Take it. Go ahead, man. Take it.
Okay. And you're my little brother, but you better keep your paws off my vinyl. I want my vinyl. I'm like Gary
I don't know what
Delabate.
you're
I
talking
gotta have my
about.
vinyl.
I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. So moving on to our list for the day of best superhero shows.
Best superhero
Do we have?
movies,
Is
because
anybody in the chat at all? Is anybody in the chat?
I saw uh uh I don't know who S I was about to say CK. I'm like, I can't even read SC.
SC. I don't know who SC
I
is.
don't know who SC
I don't
is.
see that. I don't see that comment in the comments at all.
You don't see
I don't know
it?
why I'm not seeing the
Okay,
comments.
because you know
So
what? You might be on the Facebook page.
no, I'm not. I'm on. I'm on.
And that comment was from that comment was from YouTube.
Okay, I don't know what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing the comments though, but that's fine. That's fine. So I do have some honorable mentions that I want to get to, but first we're going to start at the last one, the top 10. Now, I made this list based off of. I know it's popular, but as someone who's collected comic books since for over 40 years and knows the source material, and someone who loves movies, I went by story, by source material, by content, and I didn't just go by, oh, this is the most popular movie. Let's go with this. In some cases, you would think I might have done that, but that's not what I did. So
So
number
you're kind of
10,
so hold on for a second so that we get the criteria down. So your criteria is not just the structure of the movie itself as far as
it's,
plot,
it's the
theme,
structure of the movie.
film and all
Yes.
acting, all
It's,
that,
it's plot,
but
film, and
also
acting, and
how
all that.
close it comes to representing the source material,
Yes.
which is the comic books.
Yes.
Okay, so
Or
you getting deep.
how it relates to comic books and how it relates to, because it is a comic book movie. So number 10 is Black Panther.
Black Panther. Let's get that
Is
up
number
here
10.
the right way.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a great movie. You know, you're a black man. Why isn't Black Panther number one? Nine, one through nine are undoubtedly better as far as production wise. But Black Panther did something that a lot of movies didn't do. Black Panther brought an audience to comic books that wasn't always there. And it showed diversity in the comic book era. And it was very true to character for the Black Panther. The Black Panther in comic books is always that guy. He's kind of like Batman and DC. He knows everything before you already know it. He's already figured it out. He's always the smartest man in the room, and he's the best fighter in the room. He's a man that walks into a room and automatically commands respect. And this is what this movie conveyed. So Black Panther, not only did it have great acting in it, you had Forrest Whitaker, you had Angela Bassett, you had Chadwick Boseman, you had Michael B. Jordan. You had so many gifted actors in this film. This is a film that won the award for the costumes, the wardrobe. This this film is very groundbreaking alone for a comic book movie. And the only thing I think fans are sorry to see now is that our Black Panther wasn't able to finish. He passed away before he could finish doing some of the things we would have loved to see. Now that we know that the X-Men are coming to the Marvel universe, we would have loved to see Black Panther and Storm together. We would have loved to have seen that. But we're not going to see that, and that's okay. So Black Panther is number 10. Number 9 is a newer movie. And these best superhero movies, the list changes when new movies come out. This is a movie I saw in the theater about 2-3 months ago, and this is a movie that George and his wife, my son George, his wife, and I took Milo to see his first movie in the theater. This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. This is a cartoon movie, a 2-hour cartoon movie. The thing about this movie is Seth Rogen helmed this project. Usually, in all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, we've had adults do the turtles' voices and act as kids.
Okay.
For once, they picked child actors to be the turtles. They got actual teenagers to do the voices. So that was able to add a different dimension to it. The cartoon itself was kind of hard hitting, even though it was in color. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book was done in black and white and was very graphic and was very adult themed. Somebody saw these turtles. Somebody saw these turtles, and when they brought it to cartoons in the 80s and 90s and Saturday mornings, and when they did the live action movies, they decided to make it more kid friendly when the book itself is not actually kid friendly. This movie is kid friendly. However, you still have a little bit of the edge in this movie. So this movie was greatly done for a cartoon movie, better than any live action Teenage Mutant Ninja. And I am a big fan of the original live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie from the 80s because George and I can quote that movie bit by bit, but this one kind of takes the cake. Number eight on our list is also a cartoon movie. Now, this gave people what they wanted.
And I feel badly because I've heard so much about this across the Spideyverse. I have not seen it. What do you know? What streaming service it's on? Because I feel like this is one I
Across the
need to
Spider
watch.
Verse, I believe. I want to say it's on Stars. I want to say it's on Disney. I want to say it. More than likely, if you want to pay for it, it's on Prime. I believe it's on. I don't have my clicker in front of me to turn my TV on to see where it's on.
Okay.
But yes, of course, Spider Verse. I believe it might be on Disney. It might be on Disney. But this movie it introduces you to Miles Morales, which is a character that a lot of people have been waiting to come in live action.
Hmm.
You did not get it in live action; you got it in cartoon. They did two movies of this sort, and they did the other one. This is the first one that came out a couple of years ago. The newer one came out this year, and that was just as good. Not as good as the first one. This movie had heart, depth. It just like you kind of wish it was live action because the plot itself is just phenomenal. Hey, Kirsten, how
Do you
you
think
doing?
they would
Well, thanks
ever
for
do
joining.
that? That they would make a live action version of Across the Spideyverse?
We're hoping that a lot of fanboys and fangirls are hoping we get a live action Miles Morales at some
Hmm.
point. At one point, Danny Glover was trying to get the studios to hire him as a live action Miles Morales, but of course he aged out of that role because he's a little bit older now. But he has played in a newer movie. He has played Miles Morales' uncle, who is the Prowler.
Okay.
So there's a
What movie
scene
was that in?
and and the newest Spider Verse movie. There's a new Spider Verse movie, and I forget the name of it, but in that movie, they show in a different verse, different universes, and in the cartoon,
Oh, Kenny,
a
I'm
live action
sorry.
Danny.
I know we've already done pop culture news, but I
Uh-huh.
just got a news alert across my iPad, and um, you know how they say famous people die in threes?
Yes.
Matthew Perry from Friends is dead at 54 after an apparent drowning.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I just
Wow.
why
Are you
I'm
kidding me?
sorry. I'm like, whoa, just I'm like crying. I'm kind of upset.
Wow.
I was such a
Matthew
huge.
Perry? Really?
And I'm hoping maybe it's an erroneous report, and we probably shouldn't be uh, reporting out on that. But I just got a news blurb.
I just saw it too. I'm just seeing it too.
Okay,
According to reports, Matthew Perry's dead has died at 54.
wow,
He appeared to he was drowned.
wow, and
Wow.
Chandler
So that
Bing,
is
wow,
Chandler Bing,
big part of Friends, and
big
I
part friends.
I tell
Yes,
you, I watch that on Nick at Night just about every night now. You've
yes.
got me addicted to Friends because you were
It's a
telling me
funny
how you
show. It's
watched it, and
actually a
I've
funny
watched
show.
them all on HBO. Um, but wow.
It's actually a funny show. Yes, it just came across in the news. So we're
Um,
sorry. Prayers go out to his family. Uh, yeah. Wow. Matthew
Prayers
Perry.
to the
Yeah.
family. Uh, and I
Yes.
know I don't know because it looks like it's in Arabic. the person joining us from Israel. And no, we have not. But like most Americans, again, our hearts, thoughts, and prayers are with the people of Israel as they deal with war and what's going on. But that's not what this show's about. We're more about pop culture. And again, after having just talked about the death of the legendary Richard Roundtree, who played Shaft, now getting this kind of breaking news in the middle of our show about Matthew Perry from Friends. Our topic tonight is superhero movies, and Kenny, we will keep it moving. Um,
Okay.
but again, just more condolences to the cast, friends, family of Matthew Perry, because again, it, I'm sorry, but he maybe sometimes some days Phoebe is my favorite, but most days it is always
It's
Matthew
Chandler.
Perry as Chandler Bing that's going to
Oh
give you
my God.
the guaranteed
Chandler
laugh.
Bing.
I knew it. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
What did
he
I
was
marry into? Okay.
crucial to
Uh,
that show.
so
Anyway,
so we're gonna go on with our list, and like I said, the list for favorite superhero movies is forever changing because new movies come out and some things get bumped off. Because you know, before this year, I would have put Justice League, the Spider Verse movie, on this list.
hmm
No, Justice League, the Snyderverse movie, rather, not the original Justice League. I'd
the
I'd put the Snyderverse on this
Snoozerverse.
list, but that got
But
bumped
it's
off.
like 2 hours too
Yeah,
long.
but it's you know what? It's a great movie though. It's a great movie.
But
So this is another
nobody
new
needs
number
four
7 is
hours of
another new.
movie, Kenny. Come on, who needs 4 hours of movie? There's not that much popcorn in the world.
Okay, yes there is. Yes, you go get more. You go
It'll
get
make you
more.
sick.
So number 7 came out
Number
this year
seven.
also. I know a lot of people loved the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I was okay with it. The second Guardian of the Galaxy, I could have did without. The third Guardians of the Galaxy movie, to me, is up there with Endgame as one of the best Marvel movies ever made.
Wow. The third
And
one?
Black Panther. The third Guardians of the Galaxy movie
Mm-hmm.
is up there. The action, the storyline, the way it finished the characters off. This movie is everything. And that's why it's number 7 on this list. So what is one through
I really
six?
enjoyed the first one, but because
I'm telling you, number 3 is
third time's a
way
charm.
better. Yes, number 3 is way better.
All right. I mean, I got to
Number
defer to you. Now, can you tell me this? Were you a fan of, or have you read any of the Guardians of the Galaxy um, comic books, the source material?
yes,
Huh?
yes. And see, here's the thing. And here's my problem with the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I read the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, nobody, people looking at me like, okay, what is that? The
hmm
original Guardians of the Galaxy were a group of futuristic heroes that came from the future, 1,000 years into the future, and it came back in time and fought with the Avengers, and then they went back to their time, so that you got future stories of the Marvel universe and things that happened, like things that happened that
Now, do they
Wolverine
cross
because
paths
of
at
his
all
healing.
with the X Men?
I'm sorry.
Do they cross paths at all with the X Men?
And the first and the original lineup of the Guardians of the Galaxy, in a way they did, because their book was out in the 80s, and one of the storylines was what had happened to the X-Men. And apparently all the mutants got into a ship and just left Earth because they got tired of being chastised. And one of the last ones left was Wolverine because of his healing factor and his age thing. So he died because it's 1,000 years in the future, but he was one of the last ones left.
Okay.
Hi, Scooby Life, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, Scooby Life's in
So,
the house.
so you know, number 6
Number 6.
Cap- Captain America: Civil War.
Captain America Civil War. Oops, I got the wrong comment up there.
Why Captain America: Civil War? Let me tell you why Captain America: Civil War. Captain America: Civil War because you had Black Panther fighting Winter Soldier, chasing Winter Soldier, Captain America and Falcon chasing those two in an all-out brawl. Then you had a brawl at the airport with Ant-Man, Scarlet Witch, Vision, War Machine. You had like this whole
It
big
brought everybody into
melee.
the picture.
Yeah, you had this melee, and this is before Endgame. And the storyline itself, it introduced you to the Black Panther. It was one of the things where you're looking at, if you're a comic book nerd like I am, you're in the theater and you're like, you're like sitting back like this, and you're like, I am watching Captain America fight Black Panther and the Falcon and Spider-Man all in one movie. My mind was blown, just totally blown.
Like, your list is very Marvel centric.
DC doesn't make good movies. Let's be honest. DC only made a few good movies, and we do have some. We do have some Warner Brother movies on here. We do have some Warner Brother movies on here,
Okay.
and that's just the way it is. Number 5, Spider-Man. Number 2, Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
fighting Doctor Octopus. Let me tell you why.
So,
This is the first time. This is the first time in a movie, in a superhero movie, that you actually saw a fight between a villain and a superhero the same way you would read it in a comic book or the same way you would see it in a cartoon.
okay.
This,
So they,
this,
they
I
got.
think once Spider-Man 2 came out, you had it. This is another movie just like Civil War, just like Black Panther, just like Across the Spider Verse did, because without Across the Spider Verse, you probably wouldn't have got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Spider Man 2 is a movie that set a bar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing about a lot of these movies I'm giving to you because these movies set bars that you have to. Once this movie comes out, you got to do now. Everybody else is looking at it that makes these kind of movies and going, okay, we got to do better. Honorable mentioned, honorable mention that would have made this list. The second Suicide Squad movie that went straight to HBO, straight to Max.
Okay.
It was better than the first one. That was trash. The second one, that's another honorable mention besides
First
Justice
one was
League.
trash.
First one, the second one was is honorable mention. That should have been in there. Okay, so now we're in the top 5 because we got Spider Man number 2.
Spider Man 2, top 5. Okay. Number
Number
4.
4, number 4, Watchmen.
Ah, The Watchmen.
Now, if you ever read the Watchmen book, and let me tell you a little backstory about the Watchmen. The Watchmen originally was supposed to be charlatan characters. The Watchmen was originally supposed to be the Question, Blue Beetle, Captain Atom, Nightshade, and someone else. I forget who else, but it was and Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the original Watchmen was supposed to be. Supposed to be these charlatan characters that were acquired by Warner Brothers in DC. Something went amiss with the rights and everything, and they said, "Well, we can't use these characters. We had to change them." So the Question character changed to Rorschach. Captain Adam changed to Doctor Manhattan. The Blue Beetle changed to what was the character's name that had a little bug that flew around. But in any event, all the Watchmen characters would their names would change and the powers would slightly change. Peacemaker was changed to the comedian.
Didn't the Peacemaker have his own show?
Peacemaker had his own show, which is a phenomenal show. One day we're going to do One day we're going to do superhero live action TV shows,
Well, with the
and we're
live
going to.
action TV shows, I guess is that where Warner Brothers kind of reclaims the spot, or wait, the CW?
You know what they did? They did kind of reclaim the spots in some, but then sometimes, you know how you give somebody an inch and they take a yard.
They just went too far.
Yeah,
They
sometimes
got a
like
little
you,
ahead of
you right in your
themselves.
lane, and then you leave your lane and you go all the way over here. But Warner Brothers in DC, it's kind of their fault. They've done so many things wrong with their movies that the fans are. Yeah, do I really want to? I'm not going to that. I'm not going to go see that. I saw
So
Blue
again,
Beetle by myself.
they didn't I guess capitalize on their fan base.
No,
So and
no,
not giving
not at
them
all.
what they needed, whereas they should have been taking a page out of the Marvel
Yes,
handbook because they
definitely.
had it nailed as far as feeding the fans what they wanted. And I thought,
Yes,
at least for the DC verse, that they were trying to make a conscious effort not to give like the teaser in the end credits because that was kind of a Marvel thing. But I think even they realized that that's something that audiences
yes.
and the fanboys and fangirls. I know they always call it fanboys, but the fangirls, you know we're out here too in these superhero movie streets. That's something we want. I mean, literally, it's like I will sit through that movie through the credits. Although I'm weird because I like to know who the folly grip is and the key grip, so I like to look
Yeah,
for
that is
names.
weird. That is weird. Nobody's reading that. Nobody's reading that.
I'm reading that. At least, as long as I can still see him. Uh, so, so yeah, they weren't giving the fans what they wanted, and especially when it comes to like the superhero movies, like your fan
Yes.
base are you. You're the demographic. You're the folks at the comic book store every Saturday getting your like comic book
Yeah,
fix. And
and
what
it
did
got
your
down to
what
the
did your
point where I
what
think a
did your
lot of,
dealer
and I know a
say?
lot of people. I know a
Because
lot of people who are into comic books like I am, and they're down to the point now. They're waiting for James Gunn to take over the DC universe, the DCU, in order to go to the movies now because they won't go see any of the movies anymore because under the old regime, and
they didn't
they
like
won't
the
go see them.
Flash, right?
Well, people didn't like the Flash for a couple of reasons. No one, even in Justice League, no one liked Ezra Miller's Flash. Number one, no one liked Ezra Miller, and then Ezra Miller did so many things that people are like, "Yeah, I'm not going to go
But
support
that
that movie."
that's the person. And
I
my
understand
thing
that.
is, let's keep them separate because
Oh
again,
no,
if you're an actor and if you're a good actor, you can do a character. Now they might not have liked his portrayal of the character,
and
but
then
if
that's what
you
it
start
is. They didn't
bringing
like
in
his
all
portrayal.
his drama and emotional toil into it, then okay, yes, maybe you won't want to go support the movie. All right, it's your choice. Thank goodness
But
we
no,
live
his
in a country you get to make those kind of choices for yourself.
but yeah, his portrayal of Barry Allen was not
Yeah,
anywhere
I'm sorry.
near
I'm so
the book.
distracted because now I keep seeing all these images and things of Matthew Perry, and I'm just feeling really
I
bad.
understand that. I understand
I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, his portrayal of Barry Allen was nowhere near what it should have been, and it was just you know it was just it was wrong, and I know what they were trying to do, and they did it wrong. So number four
In
was
your
Watchmen.
eyes, did
Yeah,
we do
no,
number
I'm
four
telling you,
already?
everybody said it. I said number four was Watchmen, and we already went through that. And here's one thing you got to know about Watchmen. If you'd read the book,
Hmm.
this movie was
Now this was not like the TV
90%,
series.
huh?
This was nothing like the TV series, The Watchmen.
No, but this movie No, because TV series is something new, but this movie was 90% frame by frame of what the book did. This is almost the book reenacted to a T.
Oh, so in other words, the actual comic book was the storyboard for this movie.
Yes, yes, yes. Matter of
That's
fact,
awesome.
I believe they brought Alan Moore, who wrote the book. I think they had him on set to help them with it,
Now,
and
did
it
you by
was just
any chance see the read the graphic novel for V for Vendetta?
no.
Because that it should the filming of it, or at least the way the Wachowski brothers filmed it at the time, it just seemed very. It had a very comic booky graphic novel feel, and I would just be curious, and I don't know if anyone listening to us now, or perhaps you're listening in the future, if you can let us know in the comments, um, if um, the not the Watchmen, V for Vendetta, is true to its source material, which I believe was a graphic novel before it was actually a
It was.
movie.
It was.
But if we are going to do honorable mentions, I want to throw that in there as an honorable mention because I absolutely love that movie, although it does paint a very bleak apocalyptic future, and it scares me a little bit because some days I feel like that's the direction we're moving towards. But V for Vendetta is a favorite of mine. And by the way, for those in the chat, let us know what is your favorite superhero movie. We're getting Kenny's list again based on his criteria. We come together every Saturday night. We talk pop culture. Kenny does the lists. I do the graphics. Although I don't have graphics today, I'm still working with my eCam and getting my and get my stuff down. But we come together every Saturday night to talk pop culture, but a part of that talk is you. But for those of you who don't catch us Saturday night, you can catch us on Tuesdays on Who's Got Next Radio. Also, if you listen to this as a podcast in a podcast form, by all means, please give us a like and a rating because that would help push our podcast out to more people. As well as for those of you watching here on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the like button, thumbs up on the Facebook page, subscribe to the channel. It's called Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. And that's it. That's the long and short of it.
So we got our top three coming in.
The top three.
Top three.
I know why this one's number three. Oh, no, no. Yeah, I know why this is number three.
Okay.
And don't lie, because you
So
know it
number
has nothing to
three
do with the movie.
is Batman, the Michael Keaton version of Batman, not the uh, not the Christopher Nolan trilogy. That sucks in my eyes. It was horrible. I, you know, Christopher Nolan wanted to do something totally different with the character that wasn't Batman, not the Batman I've been reading since 1976. But hey, the other Batman, not the
And see, that
Batman.
was I didn't like I. It's not that I didn't like the Christopher Nolan. I thought it moved a little too slow, and I'm not a big Christian Bale fan. I've I've enjoyed him in a couple of movies here and there, but I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way. There was the he didn't draw me to the theater. You know what? As
Right,
crappy as it was, George Clooney could draw me to the theater.
right, yeah,
Val
yeah.
Kilmer even
I,
would draw
I,
me to the theater, but Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman.
yeah. Well, Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman. I wish he had gotten a chance to have his own movie.
Mm.
Michael Keaton is my second best Batman. My third best Batman would be Val Kilmer. And my next best Batman would be Adam West.
Adam West, go old school,
Yeah,
go
go
old
old
school or
school.
go
But
home,
let's
because
talk
they
about
went
Michael
totally
Keaton's
camp
Bat.
with
Let's
it.
talk about the
But let's talk
yeah.
about
Let's
this
talk about.
Batman and not just the soundtrack, because I know you are a fan of
Oh
that
yeah, well the
soundtrack.
soundtrack had it for me because Prince on this first movie, Prince did the soundtrack for that. This movie was also another tone setter for superhero movies. At the time this movie came out, after that you had, a little bit, a couple years, 10 years after that, you had Blade, you had Spawn, and movies like that trying to follow suit. and that kind of dark era of movies and this vigilante type hero. Batman took a character that is well known by everyone, one of the most popular superheroes ever, period. Batman with Michael Keaton, the way and this is why I like to give actors when they cast certain actors in superhero roles and people, oh, he's not going to be able to do it. He's not going to be able. Oh, that's going to suck. And when Michael Keaton came out, when it came out that Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, people knew him from comedies, Mr. Mom and things like that, and we're like, Mr. Mom's going to be Batman? That doesn't make sense. They can't have that. He blew it out the water. The only problem I had with his portrayal is his Bruce Wayne wasn't flaky enough. His Bruce Wayne in the first one kind of did some investigating as Bruce Wayne. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't flaky and aloof enough all the time as he should have been. So they showed him being flaky and aloof a couple of times, but they should have showed him being flaky a little bit more because he had that little scowl on his brow, like he was, actually trying to figure something out. And I would have looked at him and said, "Hey, you're Batman," because it was obvious. So, but that movie, it kind of set a standard for movies after that. So that's number three. Number two,
Number two.
Superman, the movie. Christopher Reeves, Margot Kidder. It's it, this movie. The tagline was, "This will make you believe a man can fly."
Ah,
And sure as hell, you did believe a man can fly.
I don't know. Again, that movie to me was always magical because I saw it in my youth in the theater, and just the reaction of the audience when
Yes.
the first transition to Superman came about. It just it to me it was one of those like kind of magical moments. So yeah, I
which
can
which
totally see
which to me is one of the best lines in a superhero movie. Still, you got me. Who's got you?
that.
Love
Yeah,
it.
that
You
was
know
classic.
this movie is it's Superman.
Mm.
So the what Crystal Reeves will always be my Superman.
Oh, definitely.
It's just,
And
I
again,
mean
I
I
it's one of those things like the Superman from your youth, or that's the one that's going to resonate for you, I guess.
but see here's the thing. You know we grew up on the reruns of George Reeves,
Hmm.
and that was your Superman. Christopher Reeves came over and he did the Clark Kent perfectly. He did the Superman perfectly. He just took it over. And, that is your Superman, Christopher Reeves. That is
I am your Superman.
what he did. In Superman 2, it should be an honorable mention on this list because that was Neil before Grog. I mean, come on. Neil before Zod.
Zog. Is it
Everybody knows
Zod?
that one. Neil before Zod. And that was a classic right there in itself. So Superman 2 should be on the honorable mention list. So I mean, yeah, when it got to the point where Superman was going up against Richard Pryor, we went too far. We went too far.
it would
Love
have
Richard Pryor.
it would have tagged
Love
too
Richard
far.
Pryor. But once you made Richard Pryor the brains behind the operation of killing Superman,
Right.
you went too far. Know your lane. Know what you're doing.
You went out of
Know what you're
bounds.
doing.
Out of bounds.
Read
That's when
read the
you know.
room. Read the crowd. Read the room. You don't make Richard Pryor the bad guy in the Superman movie.
Right.
So let's get to number one. Number one. First of all, let me say the honorable mention before I say number one. Another honorable mention would be Avengers Infinity War. Another honorable mention would be Thor Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok, yes.
Okay. Because
Another
wasn't
honorable
that the one that
mention,
didn't that have like more humor to it than some of the other ones?
yeah, a little bit more, but it was good. It was good. Another honorable mention would be the Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man that came out when it killed Aunt May.
I enjoyed that with the
That would
three
that would be
different
another
Spider
honorable
Mans,
mention
huh?
because I knew that chick was gonna die as soon as she said, "With great power comes great responsibility." I'm in the theater like, "Oh, they about to kill Aunt May.
That's
Oh
the death
man, here
quote.
she go.
with
They
gr-
about to kill Aunt May."
they were doing some foreshadowing,
Yes. Soon as she said, "With great
foreshadowing big
power,"
time.
soon as she said, "With great power comes great responsibility," I knew she was dead.
Uh oh,
That
that
she's
that's
he's
that's
gone.
the death toll.
She's gone. Yes, because that's what Uncle Ben says before he dies.
With great uh,
Power comes great
with great
responsibility.
power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. With great power comes great responsibility. And that's when you know it's one of the things where you know somebody gonna die. Like when
right.
it's a horror movie and there's one black guy, you know he dead.
That's like key to the horror movies is
Yeah. You know he dead. It's a horror movie, one
that was
black
my
guy shows
favorite
up,
part of
he
Scream
dead.
when the guy is running down like all the horror movie rules, and it's so funny
Yeah.
that one black guy. We've known that for years. Oh, you gonna be the first to
Yeah.
die. I don't care.
You'll be
Even
the first to die.
not even just horror movies, even the sci-fi movie, aliens, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, there you
Predator,
go.
black guy. Oh, you gonna die. Sorry,
You're gonna
it's
die.
just the way it is. Oh, except for
So
when you have a movie, it's except for when the black folks start making the movies, then we can flip
yeah,
the
and then
script.
they live and
Thank you, Jordan Peele. Anyway,
you think he's Jordan Peele. So number one is gonna be Avengers Endgame.
in game, I cannot argue with you on that. I I- the only part about it is because it's called in game, and this is probably going to be the last time we're going to have all these characters together. I just so enjoyed the interaction, and I just wanted to see more of those relationships develop between those characters, whether it was Black Widow and like David Banner, or like I don't know. I wanted to see them together more, and knowing that it
Yeah,
was in
well, it
game,
wasn't
and
in the
that
cards. They
in
had to
fact
kill
I
her.
I put off seeing the movie because I knew that was going to be it.
Yeah. And the one thing about this movie that it did after 10 years was one of the things that since the Avengers first came out was one of the things that fanboys and fangirls wanted to hear.
Hmm.
The one thing that we wanted to hear that made this movie worth going through 10 years of comic book movies. You know what that is? Avengers
Avengers
Assemble.
Assemble. I
Avengers
actually knew
Assemble.
it. I knew it. Yeah.
Once the comic book fans
Thank you.
heard
Thank
Avengers,
you. Thank you
whatever,
very
yes,
much. I'm no
whatever
comic
theater you
book
was in,
freak like you, but I knew that Avengers
whatever
Assemble.
theater you were in, once they said Avengers, well, he goes Avengers Assemble. The
But
room went crazy. The room
but
I
then
was
it
in,
cuts.
I still got even talking about it. I have goosebumps
Oh,
because he's like Avengers, and the hammer comes to him. Assemble. And then when Captain America picks up the hammer and fights Thanos, that was also classic because in comic books we know Captain America is one of the people who can pick up Mjolnir. So Mjolnir rather. We know that Captain America is one of the people who's been known to be able to pick that up. Superman also in a crossover with Marvel and DC. Superman has been known to be able to pick up Mjolnir also. So you got to be proven worthy of this thing.
hmm
having Black Panther pass it off to Hawkeye, and Spider Man, pass it off to Spider Man, and all these people, Valkyrie and everything, all these people fighting together, and Captain Marvel looking down and hi Peter Parker, can I take that from you? It was all golden. It was all golden, and you had just a plethora of heroes just duking it out and fighting it out to the death. And this was a phenomenal movie that deserves to be number one. And here's the problem with Endgame. Here's the problem with Endgame
Oh wait,
that I
it's the
think
number
Marvel
one
didn't
movie yet
anticipate.
you got a problem with it?
Yes, here's the one problem with Endgame. Nothing can compare.
Now
So
again,
when you
I
go
think
to the
and
movies now,
mhm,
when you go to movies now, you have that Endgame is that bar now. And if it's not touching that bar of Endgame,
yeah, that's why I think the
did I
next,
really waste my
I
money?
think
I
then
could have waited
what
till
was
it
the
came
next
on
movie
Disney
that
Plus.
came out? Was it Ant Man? Um, and
I
the
know
Quantum
it was Captain
Universe,
Marvel.
or was it Doctor?
Captain Marvel came out, I think.
Oh, Captain Marvel. But
Was it
yeah,
Captain Marvel?
it didn't have the push or the momentum,
Yes.
again that you
I
had
was.
with
It was. It was
Endgame.
funny. I forget what came on after Endgame. Is I wish Hey Archer had stopped by because he would have told me. But I don't. I forget whether it was Doctor Strange or Captain Marvel or Spider Man, but it didn't have the same. Mm, and nothing because when you're watching these movies now, you've already seen Endgame.
So SC, you said earlier that Batman would be number one. You were off by three. Batman, or off by two. Batman was number three, and Endgame, Avengers Endgame, number one for the best superhero movie. That, that was a that was a pretty tight list. I couldn't like totally disagree uh, with any of it. I don't see any comments for other folks with their favorite superhero movies. Again, I wanted to put in a word for V V for Vendetta because I just love that movie, and I can't think of another superhero movie that you haven't hit on this list because I would think like Superman, the first movie, definitely. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen a Ninja Turtle movie. I just
Really?
have not.
You didn't see the first one in the '80s?
I I didn't. I think I was a little too old
Oh my goodness
for
gracious! How are you even?
Ninja
Hold on,
Turtles.
here you go. How are you even on this show?
Hey, GTO helps. Another um, person from the old income stream. Uh, they did it so well. Almost here, let me get that back there. Almost wish they weren't going for another series because again, it's just hard to top. And yes,
Yeah,
that topped our list, the 1978 Superman as one of the best superhero movies.
yeah.
But yeah,
Turtles was
again,
awesome in the
I
'80s.
was I was too worried about my leg warmers and my big Cindy Lauper hair to watch Ninja Turtles in the '80s. So I was just not on the boat.
The Goonies were good enough, weren't they? The Goonies were good
The
enough.
Goonies were good because, and you know what? And even in the '90s, when I think by then the Turtles uh, probably were bypassed by the Power Rangers. Um, and my only exposure then was through my nephew George, your son George. So, although I do remember when he came to visit, you guys came to New York, and they had the special show at my company, Colgate Palmolive, at the time for
Oh,
kids,
I
and they had
remember that.
the real life Power Rangers, which again, not the real actors who play Power Rangers, just some hired actors in Power Ranger suits. But I also remember George being kind of freaked out by the by the action
Like,
figure.
hey,
It was like a little too intense because he
I
couldn't have been
remember
no
that. I
more than
remember come
three
up
or
there for
four
that.
at the time.
I remember coming up for that. I remember that. That was a good time.
Yeah, that was fun.
But
That
yeah,
was fun.
I I I like this list. I was George was supposed to come on the show, but he had his fatherly duties to do. We were going to have a like nerd like son reunion, but he couldn't do that tonight. And
Oops. Oh, sorry. I wanted to.
we
I
went over
had
the
captured
list.
an image because again we reported live on the show the breaking news for those of you who didn't know. Friends actor Matthew Perry dead at 54 from an apparent drowning. So I again that news has just struck me so hard, which is probably why I'm mentioning it again and again. Our condolences to his family, his friends. I think we were all his friends because we were such fans of the show. And yeah, in person
Yeah. So
superhero visits are scary. Yes, for
yeah,
little kids.
for little
And
kids,
that's
yes,
why
they
you
are.
probably shouldn't
They
take
are.
them down to Times Square where they have the people dressed up as Spider-Man.
No,
It can be
no, no,
scary.
don't do that. Don't do that. And but this list was. I went over this list with my son George, and George is my son. I put him in the comic books when he was a baby. So over 30 years, he's been into comic books and things like that. And
And
he
now
didn't
y'all
agree
you're doing the
on.
same thing to your grandson,
Yes, yes,
Milo,
yes. We're doing the same thing to Milo. Yes,
steeping him.
and George's wife is okay with that. My daughter-in-law is
She's
okay
good
with
with that.
that.
Hey,
She knew it was
that's probably
inevitable.
why
She
they
knew
got
that.
married, and that's why they're good for each other. Before we close out, because Halloween is coming, All Hallows Eve. I know what your costume is, and it is a superhero costume. But if you could tell us about your costume.
I will be, as always, what I have been for the last, I guess, wow, 15 years, Mr. Maestro. I fight crime using sound and rhyme, and I educate kids at the same time.
I
I
fight crime using the sound of rhyme,
sound
and
and
I
rhyme,
entertain kids and
and I
educate
and I
kids
and
at
I,
the
and I
same
educate
time.
kids at the same time. Yes,
Yikes.
that's what I use when there's a costume there's a
And that's
character
all
that I
you came
made.
up with after 15 years?
Yes, and it's a character that I made when I auditioned for the TV show Who Wants to Be a Superhero, which was a Stanley vehicle, and I did not make the show, but they used my audition tape. Sci-Fi Network used my audition tape for the Philadelphia auditions. So I'm walking through Comic Con one year in my costume, and I'm walking with my buddy, and then this guy takes off his Wally Coyote mask and goes, "I know you. You're Mr. Maestro from season two auditions of Who Wants to Be a Superhero. I gotta get my picture with you."
Oh,
And
get out of here. You got
my
recognized at a
buddy Eric
Comic
is
Con.
like, he just puts his head down. He's like, "I gotta take this picture, don't I?" He did some cursing. I'm not gonna do that on today, but he did some cursing. And goes, "I gotta take this picture," and I'm like, "Just take the picture, man." So
Just take the
yes,
picture.
and so yes, I don't have a picture right now. GT helps, but the costume it's a great costume, and I wear it every year. I kind of changed it over the years because the original costume I was wearing a vest, and back then I was a large, and now I'm a 2X. So I had to change from the vest and get a new top.
It's a
So I
good
don't
thing
have
this
the
costume
original
didn't
look.
have tights. I'm just saying.
The original costume had tights, and now it doesn't have tights. And now wear black pants.
Hey, old age changes
You know,
things. I hear you.
when you get older, things go south, and you have to,
You make adjustments.
you make adjustments. So now I got an overgrown shirt on and a big belt around my gut, and it's just, hey, you do what you have to do.
You
But
do
Mr.
what you have to
Maestro,
do.
you do what you have to. Yes, Mr. Maestro will be out on Halloween. I think my son and I usually trick or treat with my son and his family, and they usually do a group costume, which I will be taking pictures because the whole family will be robots this year.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's right. I did see part of the costume, so that'll be
Yes,
cool.
and I will be,
So
and I
I
will be
will.
Mr.
So
Maestro.
we'll have some photos to follow up for next week. What are we talking about next week on the program?
Huh?
I was like, what are we talking about next week? Okay, so you'll need to tune in to find out.
Yes, you'll need to tune in. Yes, Mr. Maestro. And you know who GT helps. I'm gonna tell you one thing. When I go to the conventions and I wear my Mr. Maestro costume, you know who made fun of me? Keisha Knight Pullman, Rudy Huxtable,
I'm
because
sure
her handler.
you're taking
Before I talked
cosplay
to
to
her,
a whole new level. You,
yeah,
hey, you've been
when I was
cosplaying
sitting
for
there, and
15
I was waiting to
years.
meet her.
So you
I
were
was waiting. I
cosplay
was
before
waiting
they
to meet
called
her.
it cosplay.
Yeah, I was waiting to meet her, and her handler was like, "Oh, what's your character's name? Music Man?" Because I had these two M's from Mr. Maestro. I said, "No, I'm Mr. Maestro." And the handler was like, "No, you're Music Man because you got a CD on your chest." No, I'm Mr. Maestro. I fight crime, use the sound of rhyme, and I educate kids at the same time. And so then Keisha Knight Pullman, Rudy Huxtable, walks over and goes, because we're going back and forth. She goes, "What's going on over here?" And I introduce myself, and she goes, "Well, you got musical letters on your sleeves." And I was like, "I know." She goes, "You're Music Man." I go, "No, I'm Mr. Maestro." And she goes, and Rudy Huxtable goes, "Well, where's your maestro stick?" And I go, "I don't have one." And she goes,
Exactly.
and she goes, "Then you're Music Man." And then she goes, and I'm like, I'm sitting there kind of dumbfounded. And she pauses. She goes, "Kenny, I think we need to rethink the whole costume thing."
Ouch. You got called out by Rudy.
I got called out by little Rudy Huxtable, who is now a beautiful grown woman now, gorgeous with the great smile, and she was the nicest person in the world. And but yeah, I got called out by Rudy Huxtable on my Mr. Maestro costume.
Ah, yes, indeed, a tough crowd, a tough crowd.
Yes, very
But
tough
you
crowd.
guys
Very
have
tough
been
crowd.
a fantastic crowd. This has been a fun show with a bit of bad news, but we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on a Saturday night. We are here on the YouTubicals as well as Facebook every Saturday night. Kathy and Kenny explain pop culture. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week. Peace.
God bless you all and keep living. Peace.
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.